welcome to this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Old with your hosts, Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello there.
Right, so this is our final Hammer movie. We finally got to the end. I think this is 52? 52 movies, something like that. Let me just check that. It's quite high.
We've still been doing it once a month.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like we've been doing it that long because we finished. Did we finish James Bond before we started this? Or we were doing them in parallel, weren't we? That's why.
Yeah, I think so.
But we decided to just concentrate on one. But yeah, so we got through. We haven't seen every Hammer film, and we actually are specifically not watching what was supposed to be the last release of the old Hammer cycle, which is called To the Devil Daughter. For specific reasons, there is full frontal nudity of an underage girl. Nastassja Kinski was only 14 when there was a full frontal nudity, and she has discussed it and said she was uncomfortable with it. So I don't want to sort of we discussed it. We don't want to sort of cover it for those reasons. However, I did see it ages ago when it first came out. Didn't know about the underage nudity, and I was a lot younger as well, and it was a crap film anyway, so that's all right. So we're not doing To the Devil Daughter, but so we're finishing on The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which is the last of the Dracula cycle from Hammer as well. Also, once we've discussed this, should we discuss Hammer generally before we get into this, or should we discuss this first?
Let's discuss it after.
What, Hammer?
Yeah, the Hammer after we discuss.
Yeah, all right.
This last.
So we're going to cover The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. This was tapping into the martial arts craze of the early 70s, really. A bit like, the man with the own gun did that, right? James Bond, 74. Yeah. It was that era. Bruce Lee was getting famous in the early 70s and brought out Enter the Dragon in 73, which was his biggest most popular film, and a great film. We'll cover that sometime, I think. But this was tapping into that somewhat. Directed by Roy Ward Baker, it says here, but I believe he only did the English style. He didn't do the fight stuff, I don't think. I think that was done by a second unit from the Shaw Brothers, but I haven't got any details about that. Hold on. There is a little note here. There's the choreographer of the martial arts was Chang Che, who worked for the Shaw Brothers. So it was okay. It was also released in America under The Seven Brothers Meet Dracula as well. Was a box office flop and kind of sealed, Hammer's fate, really.
Yeah.
They just weren't getting the people on the seat, bums on seats, towards the middle of the 70s, and that kind of was going under. It was kind of that. It was, but this was a co-production between Shaw Brothers, who were famous for producing loads of Hong Kong action movies, kung fu movies, really, around this time, and so it was a co-production. Of the film itself, Don Ward Baker actually says it's a terrible feature, but some of the Chinese people were very nice, he said. The leading man was David Chang, and he was a nice man, and the Kung Fu people were all right. They went a bit berserk, but I left that alone.
Okay.
So he says, my understanding was they do the Kung Fu stuff and I'd do the rest, which suited me no end, which is probably a good idea, because they got their own way of choreographing this and filming it, so it's probably a good idea. Okay, let's... what was your general thoughts on the film?
I quite enjoyed it, but it was rough.
I enjoyed it too. It started way slower than I remember it. You forget the dull bits of films, and this was a case of that. The beginning was kind of dull, and it felt like they were deliberately dragging it to pad the time. In the zombie stroke vampire army coming towards the village was all slow mo. And it was like there was no reason for that.
Well, there was a whole lot of slow mo throughout the whole
unnecessarily too, as in my opinion. But it does start, and again, this first opening sort of scenes dragged. A and B, I remember being way punchier than this. I just misremembered them. Basically, it goes to I thought it said 1804, but it was 1804. But then the film is in 1904, so
it skips ahead 100 years.
Yeah. But 1804.
But it also weirdly treats it as if this Van Helsing was the one that fought Dracula.
Killer.
But
But
Dracula wasn't
Dracula's
actually there.
yeah, it doesn't
if you
make
go by
sense.
the
It
logic of
does
the film,
not
but-
make sense at all. Because in this, basically, a Taoist monk, an evil guy called Ka, who's a high priest of the Temple of the Seven Golden Vampires, who keeps going on about he's got all the power in the region, but the vampires need, have been brought down,
Story.
and he needs
So-
Dracula's help. Dracula goes on about being trapped in his mausoleum. I don't understand why. Because this is before all of the Dracula stories we've ever heard, right? For a start.
Yeah.
Um,
How many of them start with someone stumbling across Dracula outside? So
Yeah. And Dracula decides he's going to possess the body of Ka, or basically take his form, right? Take his form.
well, they say that, but it seems more like he just inhabits Ka.
Inhabits. It does. I
Because
don't
he
understand
then
it.
goes on to explain it to Ka after
I will
he's
take your
absorbed into him.
vile form and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Basically. So we see this car guy tramping through Transylvania for 5 minutes before he gets to Dracula's castle. Then the actual scene with Dracula is okay with the dialogue. Then there's a 3 or 4 minute sequence of Dracula in a cloud with the man and kind of
Yeah, as they're on like
camera.
a sort of like a lazy Susan, sort of rotating.
Yeah, and then he kind of turns into the guy, just Ka, and Ka disappears, or I don't know. Anyway, so Dracula then says, "I'm going to go back to your temple and build a new power base, or reanimate the Golden Vampires." And then it cuts to Van Helsing lecturing at a Chinese university.
It skips ahead 100 years there.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
it's
so
Van
now
Helsing
we are
speaking-
1904.
Yeah, 1904 now. Van Helsing
Uh,
speaking in a lecture about vampires. He's like, they're real. I've seen them. I fought them.
And he keeps going about there's Chinese vampire legends, but then the entire faculty, almost to a man, laugh at him and say, "Look, we are enlightened in China. We're not Transylvanian peasants. We don't believe any of this." And they all leave, and Van Helsing's like, "I wanted to get money to get an expedition to go find it." But there's a guy sitting there, a younger guy.
And he explains a specific legend where several vampires fought a suppressed a village.
Yeah,
and a man broke in and killed one of them.
Yes. And we get an extended flashback. So we see this young guy who's in the lecture, kind of in his mind, swirly. And then we see him dressed up to look older, I think, as this villager who goes to the temple to, looks like rescue his daughter. They don't actually explain any of this.
Yeah.
Or his wife, or someone.
It's just kind of left open.
Yeah, a woman. He's looking for a specific woman, sees her. And he goes in with a plough and he starts fighting with them. The vampires, these are rubbish vampires. They are proper slow. They got swords, but I mean, he fights them quite successfully for a while with just a plough. Manages to undo his wife from this ritual. There's 7 women tied, some of them topless because it's like 70s hammer.
Because it's hammer.
And it's kind of a cool set. I'll give it that. But the vampires are proper crusty looking things wearing gold masks.
They're all rotten,
goofy teeth and stuff like that. And he rescues the woman, but then she gets a sword straight through her sternum, basically. So she's dead.
Stabbed by.
He manages to rip a large bat medallion. They're all wearing these bat medallions off.
They look terrible. Like they look atrocious.
Proper big gold things.
I think. I commented during the film that I think that the plastic bats use the same mold.
You could be right. They could have just braided a plastic bat. Or hardened it in some way and then sprayed it gold. It looked like that sort of. But he rips one off of it and then legs it. But they start chasing him in slow motion while he's. The village's gates have been shut behind him, so he runs on. He manages to put the medallion in front of a statue of the Buddha. And then they catch him and kill him, don't they, basically? Yeah. But when the vampire he ripped it off of, who's steaming a bit, it has to be said.
Yeah.
Grabs for the medallion, he just kind of disintegrated. So now there's 6 of them, right? So there's 6 of them.
So not off to a good start on our 7 vampires.
Yeah. So we're down to 6 already. Van Helsing is then going about this village where this is supposed to happen. So when it's told, it's telling the story, but we're kind of seeing it as the flashback of the young guy, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter. So we see it rather than hear it, which is good. And then the guy just walks out. Is the last one to walk out, and Van Helsing looks very downhearted, and he goes back home. Meanwhile, his son is at some meal, or
there's like a sort of like just event going on,
and there's the head of a Tong there. It has to be said.
There's the ambassador to England is there.
Yeah, and there's a sea. Hold on.
It's like a rich sort of travelling woman. It's like just
played by Julie Edge. Vanessa Buren. Julie Edge looking very fetching. She's all right as a hammer lady, hammer glamour.
Yeah.
And she's travelling alone and and she says, do I shock you and all this? And they're like, well, if you're an English lady, I would be shocked, but I find it quite refreshing and all this kind of thing. And then they get some bloke who's like head of the district, a British bloke, head of the district, sort of saying, yeah, that's the head of all the Tongs. He gives me no end of trouble and all this kind of thing. The head of the Tong sends the lady an invite saying, I'd like to escort you home and offer you my protection and all this. And old Van Helsing's son, who's there, steps in and says, no, I've already offered her an escort home, but thank you very much. Leyland, his name is Leyland. Anyway, they're getting rickshawed home, but they decide they're going to walk a bit. Then suddenly they're kind of attacked by the Tongs.
Right? Just sort of jump out of nowhere, and then two other people jump out of nowhere with big axes
and a bow and arrow, and sort of take out these guys.
Yeah, they start fighting and killing all the Tong.
Meanwhile, the Europeans just watch, right?
Yeah. It cuts back to this guy explaining. His name is Si Ching. He comes. Not only does he come from the village from the story Van Helsing was talking about, he's a relative of the guy that stole the medallion and got killed.
Yeah.
It's his grandfather.
Yeah.
But then we get the explanations like, we've been watching you, Mr. Van Helsing. We need your assistance in killing the vampires to stop the suppression.
But then Al Van Helsing said, well, that's an expedition many days away. We can't afford that. Have you got any money? And he says, no, we're poor. So it's like they can't afford it. Anyway, the Vanessa Buren gets wind of it. She's loaded, apparently. And she says, how much would it be? And it's like 10,000 Chinese dollars, whatever that is. And she says, yeah, I'll cover it on one condition, I can come. And Van Helsing's like, no, this is not a suitable and all that.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of, it's not.
You're not going to change her mind, mate. It's just, it's not going to happen. Anyway, she offers the man, and they take her up on it. And then, so we meet his 6 brothers and his sister.
There's 7 brothers total and a sister. Each are really only ever identified by their weapons. There's an archer, there's 2 swordsmen, there's a spearman, a guy with 2 big-ass maces, the 2 axe guy.
Axes, older.
They're all made of silver.
Yeah, and they've been training for years. They're all masters of each of their weapons.
And the sister has these 2 big knives.
Yeah, she's as bad. She's the biggest badass of them all.
Insane.
Yeah, really, really good at her stuff. I have to just mention her. She is played by an actress called, and I can't find the cast list. That's good, isn't it? Shi Zhu, playing Mei Kwai. She was really good, I thought, and I think I've seen her in other old 70s kung fu films. I also quite like Si Ching, played by David Chiang. And funny enough, when this film started, I misremembered this character being called David. I must have just remembered the actor's name. So when he said his name, I thought, I thought he was called David, but such is life, right? Such is life.
For now.
We haven't mentioned Dracula, by the way.
Yes. Okay.
This is not Christopher Lee.
No, I wouldn't even call it a budget Christopher Lee. This is
some bloke.
Yeah.
In bad makeup and way too
Grandpa
much
from
red
the Munsters
lipstick.
is a more convincing Dracula.
Yeah. He wasn't very good.
He's got
his
this
voice
bright
was
red lipstick, and instead he's also put the lipstick on that sort of like divot on your upper lip.
Above your number. Yeah, it looked weird. And his voice was all right, though, but that wasn't the actor's voice. He was actually dubbed over by an actor called David DeKeyser. So, yeah, I mean... But Dracula isn't in this much, so it doesn't...
No, he's literally in the first 5 minutes and at the very end of the 5 minutes.
I have to say, he gets more dialogue at the beginning of this than I've heard in any other Dracula film with Christopher Lee. But Christopher Lee apparently turned this down flat as soon as he saw the scene.
Understandable.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I wouldn't do it either. Fair enough. So, yeah, it was... where were we? So they go on this trek where they got a horse and cart and various horses, but then they've made the Tong leader lose face, is how they put it.
Yeah,
and he sends like about 40 blokes to attack them with swords.
Yeah.
But these brothers, I mean, this is a kick-ass fight, right? Really.
Yeah, we even get like a sort of like hero shot where they're all like sort of all the siblings sort of like pull out their weapons. So do like a little flourish with them.
Yeah, each weapon. And they start kicking ass. They
murder the shit out of these Tong.
Yeah. Si Ching is the real badass because he even fights weaponless. The others at least have weapons. But I have to say his sister is pretty badass too. In fact, they're all badass. They don't get an injury on them, actually, through this fight. They just take out these 40 blokes. Then the head of the Tong tries to ride off, and he spooks the horses. The lady Vanessa is holding the horses. She gets frightened, and they run out. The horses run off. So all they've got is the cart. And also the Tong guy gets his, doesn't he? He gets an arrow right through the neck. Boom, he's done. That was kind of funny. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of Kensington gore. I mean, red paint.
It wasn't even red. Like, this is how bad the budget's got. It didn't look like it wasn't blood coloured.
No, it was bright red. It was a fire engine red. Well, no, even brighter.
I'd call it like magenta more than red.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
but they realise they've got to go on foot. Really, they got no horses.
Quite Van Helsing's son shooting his gun. Has
spooks the horses.
Spooks the horses away. So
he don't know he's got no kung fu.
So he just pulls out his pistol.
He starts shooting them, that's his weapon, right? But I have to start walking, and we get a few shots of them trudging. Meanwhile, the vampires have attacked the village, don't they? They give it a good old go and ran off with all the women, killed a lot of the blokes. In fact, I thought they killed everyone or sacked the whole village, but when they get back, there are still other villagers. We just don't see much of them, really.
Yeah.
So there's all that happening. And then there's a bit there's quite a lot of stopping on the road and cooking and, a bit of flirting. Leyland is quite taken with the sister. Yeah. And Vanessa's kind of taken with Si Ching, right? And Van Helsing's lecturing about what he knows about vampires and how he doesn't know about Eastern vampires.
He's very clear. It's like, this could all be wrong because I don't know what Eastern vampires are like.
Yeah, he said stuff like, really cool. Actually, I quite liked it. Stuff about, well, in Eastern Europe, the Holy Cross is the ultimate symbol to ward off vampires. But here, I would imagine it's Lord Buddha, and things like that. Some cool stuff. Anyway, they finally get to a cave, so they got a bit of cover, and you can just tell something bad's going to happen. And indeed, there are three bats hanging off the wall. It turns into the three of the vampires who start fighting, and also half the zombie army also turn up, and they all start fighting. The zombies are kind of weird because when you punch them, they're dust.
They disintegrate.
But they're very polite, aren't they? In the fight sequences, they wait their turn to get stuck into the fight. Don't know, we noticed that.
Very visibly. It's like you could just overlay the audio of Michael Caine and Austin Powers.
Yeah, there's a bit
you
of
come
that.
at me, I hit you. And then you come up me, and then I hit you.
There's some of that. We did sort of speculate as it started. Do you think there'll be hopping vampires? And some of the zombie army are kind of skipping.
trot, for lack of a better term.
Like a show horse trot kind of thing, very, very odd. But essentially, during this melee, they kill 3 of the vampires.
Yeah.
And the zombie army as well. And so basically, they've already got 4 of them out already, right? There's only 3 left. Then they start going, I don't know if we can face any more of this. And it's like, what you talking about, dude? You just kick their asses without any injuries at all. What do you mean? Anyway, they says, but Van Helsing's like, we have to go on now, and for the sake of your village and all of this. And essentially they get to the village, and then it kind of kicks off there. They're setting up. Yeah. It's a bit Magnificent Seven, isn't it? They're setting up stockades.
Except kind of the opposite. It's the 7 very trained fighters go out and find
an old
one weak-old guy.
Yeah.
Who, he gives them advice. He's very clear. It's like, could be entirely incorrect. Dave Van Helsing didn't really need to be there.
Yeah, really. I have to say, Peter Cushing giving it his all, isn't he? There's no hint of this is stupid at all in this performance.
And it's not
it's a great performance.
Of even with his age, at this point he wasn't stepping back. He was swinging a sword. He's one of the responsible for a kill when they're back in the cave.
Yeah, well, he gets a couple of kills, doesn't he? Oh, yeah, he gets one in the cave, you're right. That's where they figure out fireworks against them.
Yeah, fireworks well. So they decide to set up a big fire pit.
Yeah.
And most of the siblings leave their silver weapons behind.
They're lovely, fantastic weapons and just use
really
bits of
good
wood.
Vampire-killing weapons that they've apparently been trading with for years and years. And then they replace them with bamboo spears.
And it don't go well, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Don't go well. They start getting hammered too. But it's a bit of to-ing and throwing. Basically, 2 of the vampires get killed, but there's 1 left. Yeah. But I think 5 of the brothers. Also,
5 of the brothers.
Vanessa gets the bite on that and turns into a vampire.
And turns into a vampire. One of the brothers goes up, gets bit by her as well, pushes her onto a stake, and then throws himself on.
What's his name? I can't remember. David Chiang's character.
Yeah.
It's him, and he stakes
throws himself onto a stake.
Whoa. He should have stayed. He should have lived.
Yeah.
Should have been one of the ones that we don't know who they are, or
other
than their sibling.
To be frank, while all the characters had names, even Wikipedia acknowledges the characters didn't have any character. So list the character name and then what weapon they had.
Yeah, they're basically the weapons, right? The only distinctive one was Si Ching, David Chiang's character, and his sister Mai Kuei. Those were the distinctive ones. The others were just, Here's
they
the
basically
weapon.
It's this is the guy with the axe. He's real strong.
Spearman.
This is the guy with the spear. He's
having said that, they were good. They were good at with their weapons. It's a shame they got why they didn't use them in the final battle. I don't know. Stupid.
Weapon artistry.
Stupid.
But so basically, it's now kind of just two brothers that we don't really know anything about. We're not even sure which of the brothers survived because it was 2 of them with bamboo spears. So
we don't know what special powers they have.
And the sister, who has now been kidnapped by the other vampire,
who takes her back to their
for the temple
sacrifice or whatever. Meanwhile, the guy that Dracula possesses, or is Dracula, whatever, he's just hanging around at the temple, right? He's not getting stuck in it all. So the 2 brothers, the Van Helsing and Leyland.
No, the 2 brothers don't even go.
Oh no, it's Leyland.
No, it's literally just Van Helsing goes.
And doesn't his son go as well?
No, the rest stay and fight in the village.
Okay, so Van Helsing chases it back to the
the temple. And then he spears the last of the vampires who falls into this big cauldron of quote-unquote bloods. It's the wateriest looking blood I've ever seen.
It's red water. That dries up into a thing, and then finally he sees the priest, Carl, who reveals himself as Dracula and transforms back to Dracula. But
Van Helsing gets him with the same spear.
Basically kills him 2 for 1, right? In a very straightforward non-actiony way. Because I guess Peter Cushing was quite old at this point. They couldn't strain him too much. And then it crash ended, right? Just credits roll.
Just
That's
stops.
it. That's it. Apparently there was a bit of contention through the film. The Shaw Brothers wasn't happy with Roy Baker's direction, and they specifically asked for the martial arts to be done by their own team, which sounds totally reasonable.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
It didn't do too well. It was released in Hong Kong on the 11th of July 1974, London 29th of August 1974, and generally released October 1970. In fact, you know what? I remember ads on the telly for this when I was a boy. Yeah.
Was it the terrible ad that we watched afterwards that just showed the entire
There was
ending?
no topless women in the ads I saw. So it wasn't that one. And that was an American ad anyway. Apparently the American version cut out 20 minutes and looped several remaining scenes to make it run again. Why would you bother?
Stuff and then repeat the scenes.
It's a bit weird. And apparently their cut eliminates Dracula.
Okay.
Hold on. They eliminated Dracula first. The ends scene with Dracula, but then they put it back again because it was too short. Oh, I don't know. It sounds weird. So anyway, it didn't do well. It was also there was a planned sequel. Get this. It's a sequel, right?
I've just
Carly, Devil Bride of Dracula. It's filmed in India. That would have been something else.
I can see that.
I did mention this is kind of Indiana Jones, didn't I?
Than a lot of the sub-franchises we've seen from Hammer.
Yeah.
Going through different cultures, vampire equivalents would have been fun.
Yeah, it didn't review that well either. People, one review in the London Times was, "This would be tedious if it were not for the distinguished presence of Peter Cushing as a Dracula hunter." I mean Peter Cushing, he's a goat, right? It just that's that. No. I quite like this film. It didn't quite hang together, but I quite enjoyed it. I didn't like the drag in the beginning, the first half, but the second half I was perfectly happy with. I just wish the character, the main character, the only character, male character we knew, hadn't have died. That's all. Leaving us two we don't know. I like the action. I thought it was fine. Shaw Brothers apparently financed 50% of it, which is kind of cool. That's probably how they got it made, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, in terms of Dracula lore in Hammer, this doesn't make sense. Basically, Dracula wouldn't be around between 1804 and 1904, right? So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever in Dracula. But
Van Helsing is still famous for having beaten Dracula. So.
Yeah. How's that work? I like the poster's pretty cool too. I have to say, I think it's a cool poster. Yeah. And again, I remember that as a kid, the posters on the bus stops. I'm thinking, wow, I want to see that film. We're never getting to see it until years later. But
worth the wait.
It was. I liked it. Right, okay. So that is Legends of the Seven Golden Vamps. Any final thoughts before we score it?
I wonder why they used burst ping pong balls as the vampire's eyes.
That was odd.
It was odd.
And the vampire makeup was odd, right?
Yeah, the vampire makeup overall was terrible.
Yeah. They looked like they had cornflakes stuck to their faces or something. Yeah. And they were all different colours, weren't they? It was weird.
They were wearing different coloured robes, and they were all various shades of grey and purple. So
yeah. I thought the way of killing them was going to rip the medallions off, but no one really...
No, they just kind of stabbed them to death. Yeah. And at one point, the villagers... I made a joke about one of the titular characters getting beaten to death in an alleyway, and then it happened. The villagers mulched
you
that guy.
You called it. Oh, man, they squashed him into the ground. It was a bit... slashing.
I don't know if they even killed him in vampiric terms. I think they just mulched him so much there's no coming back from it.
Yeah, that was it was odd. Okay, what would you rate this?
I'd rate this about a 5, and that's only really because of the fighting.
5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd give it a 7. I'm being very generous, I know that. But I really quite enjoyed the second half quite a lot. The first half was more draggy than I remembered it, but I quite liked it. And I mean, I pretty much enjoyed it from the first big fight. Though actually the fight with the Tongs in the town was okay, but the big fight with the Tong in the countryside was probably the best fight in the film, I'd say.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it from that point on, really, even though it took a while before they got back to the action again, didn't it? Till they got to that cave. But Van Helsing, Peter Cushing elevates this film a lot, really, just in being in it. His presence. Anyway, that's our last Hammer film. Right, we discussed this, and we're gonna just go through some of the ones we've watched in terms of what ones do we think were good and bad, and we got some ideas around that. So have you got any? You mentioned you had a few categories you wanted to discuss.
I got a few like other sort of side things. We got our good, bad, and odd standard things.
Let's
but
do
I've got
good,
like
bad,
a few
and odd.
like
All right, let's do good, bad, and odd. What do you think was? What were the good or great ones at Hammer for you?
Okay, so I put in my good section. I put Curse of the Werewolf.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like that one.
I've got that in my bad. Because I thought it was really stuff. But you know what? When we watched it, I thought it was bad, and I have rewatched it since, and I liked it a lot more. So, Matt, you know what? I'm crossing it out. I'm taking it out bad. Yeah, forget that. Curse of the Werewolf. Because Ollie Reed's really good, isn't he?
Yeah. And it's one of the few where there is, like, drama without melodrama.
Yeah.
It's like the whole arc of him, like...
It's a sad
him
story,
not being
wanting,
being really part of the thing, and all this just kind of being inflicted on him. The tragedy of it.
Okay, go on.
I got 1 million years BC, standard, great Harryhausen monster flick.
Yeah, I've got that as an odd one because it's so unusual for Hammer.
Yeah.
I just
it's not really
it's a good film. I don't disagree. I think it's a good film, but I haven't put it in my good. I've put it in my odd. Not that we can't cross over, but yeah, it was a good film, though. Solid.
I've got Brides of Dracula.
Probably
possibly the best of the...
Possibly, yeah.
In fact, I'm just going to say that was the best overall film.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
And it was, the second or third film we watched, which is
I think it was more like the sixth, actually.
Yeah, it's still early on for 52
It was
films.
early. It was early,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I've got the Quatermass films and Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Really, Dracula, Prince of Darkness. I always found that film a bit dull, though I really like Father Sandor. I really like that character.
Yeah, it is kind of carried by that. That's something I've got noted down as like most memorable character is Father Sandor.
Father Sandor's really good. It's a shame he wasn't in more films, really.
Yeah, you could have had that as like in the same way the Van Helsing is like the through line character. You could have Father Sandor as this Roman priest with a big ass cross on his back.
That is a good character. He's almost like a priestly Kronos kind of guy.
Yeah,
I feel like. Anyway, I've got all the ones, a lot of the ones you mentioned in your good. I've got a few extras to that.
Mm-hmm.
Quatermass, I've got right at the top because because they're really good, but B, honestly, the Quatermass experiment enabled Hammer to actually do all this. They had such a success with it; it gave them the money and the confidence to negotiate the rights off of Universal for Frankenstein and Dracula, and started their entire Gothic cycle. So, props to Quatermass experiment for that, and the producers had the foresight to buy it off the BBC early days and sort of get it to a film. I've also got The Devil Rides Out, which I really like. Yeah, I remember you didn't like it as much as I do, but I really like The Devil Rides Out. So for me, the top ones are the 3 Quatermass films, Devil Rides Out and Brides of Dracula. Those are the tops. But I've got a few other ones behind them that I thought were really good. I really like Plague of the Zombies, which I mentioned to you. You have no memory of us.
I don't remember this film at all.
Yeah.
I looked it up online just to read the plot, and I was like, nah, nothing. It's just not in my head at all.
Yeah, and I also have to mention the first Dracula film, first Frankenstein film, Curse of Frankenstein, the first Dracula film, Horror of Dracula, and I also really like Twins of Evil as well. I think Twins of Evil had some really interesting stuff going on. But also Captain Kronos. I think that is probably my favourite. Not the best, I agree, but I think that might be my favourite Hammer film. I just really like Captain Kronos.
Okay, that's made my odd list.
Yeah, that's fine. And it's on my odd list too. But it's the only one where I've put it on 2 lists. But I really enjoy Captain Kronos. Okay, let's do bad and then do odd. And then do other stuff, right? So bad. What was your bad one?
Now, this is very heavily vampire focused.
Okay. So you're going to talk about the Karnsteins.
The Karnstein trilogy sucked. Like, they made one...
Did you not like Twins of Evil?
No, they made one okay vampire film, and then they remade it twice further.
Okay.
It was bad. Was just... most of the... I'd say modern, but I guess it wouldn't be the right word. The ones that set in the modern times of when they made the film, they were all bad. Johnny Alucard was probably the.
You're talking about Dracula
how
now.
This sucked.
Yeah. Okay. And they were odd too, right? In fact, I've got Satanic Rites of Dracula on my odd list. It's so odd.
Just such an insane film.
Yeah.
And I've also got, unfortunately, most of the Frankenstein sequels. Frankenstein himself is very good.
Yeah.
The first 2 films are great, and then the rest is like Frankenstein is the only good thing about this. The monster doesn't even look good.
I disagree a bit. I think some of them are better than you. I think they're better than you're saying. However, I have got 2 of them on my bad list. The Evil of Frankenstein, right, which is one with Cushing, but with the square-headed kind of version of the monster. And it's so bad, right, that I actually remember thinking, oh, God, we forgot to do Evil of Frankenstein. Oh, what? We've missed one film out. And then I looked, and it's like, oh, no, we did it 4 weeks ago. And I have absolutely no memory of watching it or talking about it. Yeah. It's a bit like you were playing Good as Zombies, right?
Yeah.
And there was also the Horror of Frankenstein, which is the one with Ralph Bates as Victor Frankenstein, which was kind of fun, but bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Cushing not really.
The monsters just seemingly get less and less creative. I think the worst in terms of monster was Frankenstein Created Woman, where it's just a woman.
Yeah. I agree. I like the film, though. I really like the film. Yeah. I agree the monster was goofy, but I really like the film. And the old Frankenstein standing up in a court and totally shitting all over the lawyers and stuff like that. That was really fun. Yeah. I like that one. What have you got? I've got a couple of more bad ones. Have you got any others?
It's more broad strokes and like that.
Okay.
So
all right. I thought the Phantom of the Opera sucked. It was boring. The bad guy was really his little stabby short friend, if you remember it.
Yeah.
Though I will give it props for Patrick Troughton as the rat catcher, which was only in it for a couple of minutes. That was great. That stuff was great.
Yeah.
But the film was boring.
Phantom of the Opera had the best poster. Insane poster.
That is a good poster. Yeah. The other one that sucked is Kiss of the Vampire, which was the massive attack of rubber bats at the end.
Yes.
What a sucky film that was. Okay, yeah, so that's all my bads. Have you got any other bads? Or
no, again, mine are just spot swathes.
All right, let's move on to odd.
Okay.
So
is anything else other than Lost Continent topping it?
No, Lost Continent's definitely the top. That's the oddest. Right,
like sailors fighting conquistadors with balloons on their
back.
And
don't forget the giant crabs and shit.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to mention. There's a weird little robot wars fight in the middle of it that they never
a
really
crab
address.
And a lobster, is it? Or something?
A lobster chases them. No, it's a scorpion chases them up onto a rock.
That's it. Yeah.
Hits a rock. The rock turns out to have been a crab. They kind of bump against each other for a bit and then both fall in the water.
It is very
And then the
Robot
conquistadors show up and it never gets brought up again.
And no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No one acknowledges it.
Yes. I've got other films on my list, but there's Lost Continent is so far ahead of the rest.
Yeah,
it is
like,
by far the oddest.
Stupid makeup. I've got Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah.
And I've got Captain Kronos because again.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah. I also have Million Years BC, but only because it's odd for Hammer. Right, I don't think it's an odd film. I think it's a perfectly good caveman dinosaur film. In fact, a very good one. Probably the best one, in fact. But it's just odd because it's not the rest of Hammer. Never. I mean, they did make a sequel, so there are other films like it. But it was so left field. And apparently Rebecca Welch only did it because London was like the centre of the universe that year. You know what I mean? Everyone was talking about that. She wanted to come to London. That's why she did it. And I'm glad she did. She was good in it. She was really good.
It's a good film.
Yeah. I'd also lump in Satanic Rites of Dracula because, like, Dracula as a Bond villain with killer hippies.
Yeah.
Burly stuntmen dressed as killer hippies. Yeah. That was... Yeah. I also... A film I quite like, but it is odd, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't want to put it on my good because it wasn't that good.
It was okay though, right? It was okay. Yeah. So I've put it on my odd. The other one, which I quite liked and nearly got onto my good list, was one of the more successful of their alternative vampire movies, which I quite liked, which is Vampire Circus. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
With the turning into leopards and shit.
Yeah.
And that was quite strong. You know, they were killing kids and all sorts, right? I quite liked it. I thought it was quite impactful. It had a certain imagery that was quite impactful, and the whole family of vampire storyline was kind of cool, right? Have you got any other odds, or are we done with odds?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's more for like odd things in the film.
Right. The only other category I penciled in was honourable mentions, but you had a few others you wanted to.
Yeah, it's more just like little one-off things, like.
Okay.
Mostly like saying like Phantom of the Opera had best poster, Curse of the Werewolf had the best story, Father Sandor was the best character, that sort of thing.
Father Sandor, yeah. I think Father Sandor's probably, behind Van Helsing and Quatermass, probably the strongest of the Hammer characters. Oh, Jude Dorishlow's pretty strong as well. But yeah, Sandor was great, yeah.
It's just a lot of things like that.
Okay, cool. So have you got any others?
Nothing that we haven't already sort of discussed.
The honourable mentions I wanted to mention, because they don't really fit as... didn't want to put them in good. They're not that good, but they're pretty good. They're interesting, right? I've got The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll. Interesting take. It wasn't scary, but I
Is that the one with Michael Gough?
No, he was in Phantom of the Opera. But Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll was an actor called Paul Massey. Young guy, but basically Jekyll's an old guy. He's done up as an old guy, but he's kind of jokerish. Oliver Reed was in it as well, in a bit part. It's kind of jokerish as Mr. Hyde, you know, manic and full of life and not a good person. Kind of.
Oh yeah, I like this one. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I also really liked the Quatermass knockoff X the Unknown, which was basically a Blob film before the Blob came out. I really liked the special effects and the whole thrust of it. I thought that was solid. And I quite liked, and this is a really horror, I quite liked the Hammer take on Hound of the Baskervilles with Peter Cushing as Holmes. I quite like that one. So that's it for me in terms of discussing Hammer. And any final comments about how did you find the whole thing?
The quality plummeted very quickly. Like all the best ones are really kind of early and late. That middle lurch. Oof, that's why like all the ones I don't remember watching are.
No, I agree. It's very bathtub is Hammer. I find its early ones are good. Then they kind of ease off on the horror, don't they, and become more like drawing room dramas, and they're boring. They're boring. But it's about 66, 67 or so. Your Quatermass and the Pit, your Devil Rides Out, things like that start to improve, and then they go a bit mad, don't they? With like Kronos and Vampire Circus and Legend of the Sevenfold Vampires and the weird modern Dracula ones. Trying to make money, I think, just trying to get people into the cinemas. But horror had really moved on in the early 70s. We had The Exorcist and Chainsaw Massacre. They could not compete with those. There's no way. That kind of led to... They have had a resurgence. We're not covering the resurgence, but they have had a resurgence. Probably the most famous one is The Woman in Black, and that is a pretty good film. Woman in Black is the new Hammer studio ones. So we're going to leave behind Hammer for this particular marathon, and we're kind of done. Should we tell everyone what we're intending to do next, or should we surprise them? What do you think?
Let's tell them, because they're going to see the title.
We decided this is going to be 50 plus films again. This Disney. We're covering animated Disney, and we're including films that are live action with animated segments. So we're including things like Mary Poppins and
Rabbit,
Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I have to do Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I just have to. A film
as
where
Jason
a witch
describes it, the most metal film in existence.
Yes, a witch reanimating knights.
To fight Nazis.
How awesome! How awesome was that? Yeah. But I love Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Absolutely love Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Some of my favourite films ever are Disney films. I think Bedknobs and Broomsticks and probably Jungle Book. I love the Jungle Book. So I'm looking forward to that, and we will be going, and we're not quite sure when we're going to include Pixar yet, are we? We're going to.
But we have a lot of time before we actually get to that point.
We can decide there. We probably won't. It's my suspicion, because we'll be punchy from all the 2D
we'll want to start.
Yes, but Disney's interesting because it's got these phases where it gets more and more tired, and then it suddenly picks up when new blood comes in, or something. I don't know.
Are we doing the weird sort of spate of animated sequels like Jungle Book 2?
We'll decide as we go. But
again,
we've got
about
not,
70 years of films before we get to that point.
Yeah, honestly. So our next one of this will be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We're also going to do the ones that are much less seen, that were cinema releases, but no one really talks about things like the Three Caballeros is what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. And there's a few travelogue ones as well along those lines. But they are good fun films. I really like Mr. Toad and Ichabod Crane. That movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is, and they're basically two shorter films put together into one film, right?
Yeah.
Just to bring it
by
out.
Vincent Price and I can't remember. Oh, it's some very like American hero sort of voice.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we're leaving the horror behind for a bit. Mind you, saying that it's Disney, right? There's horror in Disney.
Yeah, it's
horrifying.
We all know that. So.
Yeah, some of it is very horrifying. So so we'll be picking up Disney in our next marathon. I hope everyone listening has say, oh right, yeah, Bing Crosby, that's right. But I hope everyone enjoyed this Hammer season. I'm just trying to remember some of the seasons we've done. We've done Universal, right? We've done Hammer.
We did Godzilla. We did Universal.
Kaiju.
We did
James Bond. Yeah. We've done some shorter ones, like we did all of the Planet of the Apes movies and the TV series. Yeah. We've done others. We've done horror. We did Halloween. And things like that.
Chase, Friday the 13th. We did.
And we did debate whether we should do a shorter one between Hammer and Disney, but we've just decided we're going to go on to Disney.
Yeah.
A lot of people got Disney Plus, so it kind of ties in with that too. People might.
People can.
You know what? I'm going to watch this again.
Talk about. So.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to a change of pace and watching some Disney. I did actually start the Disney rewatch myself a while ago, but about 4 or 5 months ago, we just kind of decided, and I just stopped. And I think I got to Cinderella or something like that. I'd certainly gone for a spate of the less seen ones. It might have been Alice in Wonderland. I think I got to. So I've kind of watched the first 5 or 6, 10 already, but it was a while ago and I parked it. So, but I am really happy to be going back to it again as well. Okay, cool. Let's wind it up there. So, bye from me.
Bye.
Hammer horror, won't do Just